Happy Fat Tuesday! In honor of today, I'm going to be caking hot cakes, or rather hot cakes. And I'm very excited. I'm going to make a buttery golden vanilla cake layered with a wild blueberry jam and maple infused buttercream. The first step in making my hot cakes is to bake 3 round layers of cake and remove them from the pan. Then I use my trusty ruler and a serrated knife to level the cakes evenly and to cut them in half. While filling the cakes, I shower each layer with a simple syrup, which is just 1 part sugar and 1 part water. And this is just a regular part of the process to keep the cakes moist. Because we don't want our jam to ooze out the sides, I'm gonna pipe a buttercream ring around the cakes like a barrier so that when we spread the maple buttercream on top, it won't ooze out. Once the cake is completely filled, it's important to mask the cake or crumb coat it. And this just keeps the crumbs glued to the cake with some buttercream so that when we ice it, we don't have a crummy layer. I'm gonna chill it for about 20 minutes. While the cake is chilling, I'm gonna color some fondant to look like butter because everybody loves a pat of butter on top of their pancakes. To color the fondant, I put a touch of yellow food coloring into the fondant and knead it in with my fingers. It's better to be safe than sorry, especially with a delicate color like butter yellow. Now that I have my butter colored fondant, I'm gonna roll out and cut little pats of butter to set aside to dry. It's very tempting for me to overthink this, but butter is not perfectly square. So I use my fingers to soften the edges and give it a real lifelike butter look. And butter is a lot shinier than fondant. So I'm gonna use a little bit of vegetable shortening rubbed on my pats of butter to make it glisten. I've pre-colored some fondant to resemble blueberries, and now I'm gonna shape them. I really want my blueberries to look lifelike, so I'm not just rolling my fondant into balls, I'm also using piping tips and little scissors to make all the real lifelike indentations that you find in a blueberry. To take my blueberries one step further, that final touch is to roll them in just a little bit of cocoa powder because blueberries aren't really shiny. They're kind of matte and they kind of look dusty. The entire theme of this cake has to happen naturally and organically. Pancakes aren't all exactly the same size, pats of butter aren't perfect squares, blueberries aren't all identical, so I have to try really hard not to overthink every step of this cake. In order to make this cake look like a stack of pancakes, I have some pancake colored fondant that I'm going to roll into tubes with my hands and then further flatten with a rolling pin. Then I use a pizza wheel to cut bands from the strips of fondant. And I want to make sure to use the outer edges of the strips so that the pancakes look more natural and I don't see the cut edge on the outside of the cake. Now I'm going to wrap these bands around the cake one at a time. And after wrapping each one, I'm actually going to paint the surface to look like that's the side that hit the griddle, which will take a while. Be patient. I need to roll out one big pancake for the top of the cake. I have to make sure that the one on top looks the best, the juiciest, the most realistic. So I've got to roll that out really carefully, making sure not to make it bigger than the rest of the stack. Once my cake is fully painted, I have a look back, see if there's any touch-ups in the paint. Now comes the fun part. Now I'm gonna place my pats of butter on the top, and then I'm gonna mix corn syrup with maple syrup so that I can pour it over the pancakes like a real stack of pancakes. The reason I do this is because real maple syrup is just a little too thin and I want that syrup to just appear and glisten and to run down the cake. So I'll flavor the corn syrup with a bit of maple syrup and then I'll pour it on just like I would real pancakes. The final touch is to throw the blueberries on. You can literally throw them. It would be fun and it would look more natural. I kind of like to half throw, half place. It's just the planner in me. There's always a part of me while making a cake that feels like, is this gonna look like pancakes? And then I keep going and I keep going and then I get there. So now you've seen me make a pancake cake. If you wanna see me cake other objects, put your comments below, subscribe to the channel, let me know what you think. If you want this very couture Hot Cakes t-shirt, click the link. I've gotta go eat all those pancakes now. don't forget to subscribe to this channel.